Hello guys, welcome to Not On My Watch. Today we are taking a look at the Christopher Ward C65 Super Compressor Diver. This is a really cool watch with a really cool mechanism, and I've had it for a few months now and I thought it was time to do a full review of it. It's a beautiful watch, I really love it and I can't wait to get into this video. So sit back and enjoy. So here's the watch and we're going to take a closer look and talk about everything about it. First we can start with explaining the super compressor, because this is the first true super compressor in like 50 years, and I'm going to let you know a little bit of the background of the super compressor. It's made by the case manufacturer Erwin Picorez SA or EPSA, who invented this super compressor system. And basically what it does is that it uses the water pressure to press the case back against the O-ring gasket. The further it descends and the pressure rises, which helps with the water resistance, and so it doesn't break the watch. So it was quite revolutionary at the time. Now it is made redundant by modern manufacturing, modern parts and everything. It is no longer needed, but it's still a very cool thing. I think that Christopher Ward did to bring this very cool mechanism back to life. That is really amazing, and while it's not very useful, I think it's a cool thing to have on your watch. You know, as a watch enthusiast, I always like these small little gimmicks with the watches. It is, I think, really fun. So that is what a super compressor is. We'll take a closer look on the back later, but first let's get the dimensions of the watch out of the way. So this is a 41mm watch with a lug-to-lug of 47.12 millimeters. The height is 13.05 millimeters. So it's not that high, but the case profile, as you can see, is very thin, but the case back sticks out a little bit, and the bezel with the boxed domed sapphire crystal. But it sits really nicely on the wrist, which we will get back to a little bit later. The lug width is 22 millimeters, and the watch weighs 72 grams. On the bracelet it weighs 166 grams. As you might know, this watch comes in 3 different variants, and this is discontinued. So it comes in a light blue, or like a teal blue, and a deeper blue. I think this is the nicest one of them, but the other ones are really nice too. But I really love this brown fume dial. It is absolutely stunning. I am sorry that the strap, this is the original Christopher Ward strap. I thought it looked better on the pictures on their website than it did in real life. So I don't think it matches the dial. So this watch definitely pops a lot more on a different strap or on a bracelet, but I don't particularly like the bracelet, but we'll get back to that also. So if we look at the dial, the brown is beautiful. I love how it works with the white bezel. It gives it a really retro look. I love the Lume pips outside of the markers, and I love that these are in yellow all the way to 20, and then the rest are white. Other than that, we have Christopher Ward going back to a 12 o'clock logo, which I really like. I don't think this watch would be nearly as nice if the logo was at 9 o'clock. So good job on that. I don't mind the simplistic, boring logo. I think it works really well on this particular watch. On the bottom here it says super compressor in orange, and underneath it says 150 meters and 500 feet, which is the water resistance of this watch, which is decent, nothing crazy, but I'm definitely not going in deeper, so it's sufficient for me, and I'm sure it's sufficient for most of you. Even got it on a leather strap, so this is not touching water. And on the bottom it obviously says Swiss made. So there is an error with this watch, and that is that the super compressor text is misaligned. It is slightly to the left, which you can see. It doesn't really bother me. It's a thing that I thought that would really bother me because I got OCD on these kind of things. But maybe I don't have it anymore, because this actually doesn't bother me. But this should be fixed on their newer models. That's also part of the reason that this was heavily discounted, I think 40 or 50%. So I got a really good deal on the watch. I think it's a lot of watch for the money, even at full price. But to move on, the markers I think are beautiful, play with the light, and they also have some lume applied on the edges. The hands, you have orange minute hand, orange tip on the second hand, and I really like the pop of orange. It gives it more character. I think it looks really cool and fun, and it makes it for, I think, a really great summer's watch. There's also Lume applied on the hands and also in the 12 o'clock on the bezel. So I'm going to show you the Lume. This is 10 minutes of Lume just sped up, and as you can see, there's not a lot of Lume on this watch, but there is certainly generous amounts applied to the hands, which last for a long time. The markers and the triangle at 12, they do fade a little quicker. So nothing crazy with the Lume, but decent enough, and again, I think it looks vintagey with the Lume pips around the hour markers. So the Lume on this is Super Luminova X1 GL-C1. So if you take a look at this crystal, you can see that it is boxed and domed. It's again gives it a retro look, and it's beautiful. And this watch has an internal bezel, which you turn by this crown here, which has this orange on the crown. It looks really nice. It is a 120 click bezel, unidirectional, and I don't know if you can hear that, but it has a really satisfying click to it, and it feels kind of weird. It feels like you're turning an actual bezel, but you're doing it by a crown. Super satisfying. Like, I could turn this all day, and it does line up. Come on, focus perfectly. I think doesn't look perfect. Yeah, it is perfect. It has a little bit of play to it, as you can see, but I don't know. I guess it's okay. As long as it lines up, I'm happy, and it does. So I really like the bezel. One thing that I really like too is because of the domed sapphire crystal, the numbers and the triangle for that matter gets a little distorted, which gives them, I think, a really cool retro look as well, because they get longer. So like that, they aren't actually that long, but if you look at it from the front, because of the domed crystal, and they get stretched out a little bit, which I think looks really cool. So we've tested one crown. The other crown obviously is to set the time, and to wind it, you can screw it out. It winds like an ETA or a Salida, which it is basically the same thing, so it doesn't wind very smoothly. And you can pop it up one more, and you can set the time. Operating a crown in general, except for the winding, is very smooth. It screws into place very easily, and it has this English and Swiss flag, which Christopher Ward used nowadays. They also use that on the decoration on the rotor. If you take a closer look at the movement, as I said, it's a Salida. It's a 200-1 automatic movement, so it's a clone of the ETA 2824. And it has a beautiful custom rotor with the Christopher Ward text and this pattern that I showed you. Around the edge you can see in orange, it makes it look really cool. It's a super compressor, and there's a wire underneath here. Another thing to note is that this watch is actually the first ever super compressor watch made with an exhibition caseback, so that's a cool thing. I really love this orange to the movement. Like, it looks so cool, I think. It just makes the movement pop a lot more. And I mean, the movement isn't anything special, but it just makes it look so much better with that pop of orange, I think. And on the back here we can also see some text. It's probably some serial number, Swiss made, stainless steel, 15 ATM, and nothing more. And if we look at the case design, I showed you a little bit earlier, it's so beautiful. You have this, it looks very thin, with brushed side here and polished bevel edges, and it kind of goes in here, makes it really sleek. It is cushion style case, of course, brushed on the top, and then similar on this side with the two crowns. I think the case design on this is really beautiful, and the finish is also very good for the money, I think. So if you look at the strap, as I said, this doesn't match the watch at all, but the strap is good quality. I think all Christopher Ward straps are very good quality. Again, the color, I mean, it looks, I would say, really bad on this one. It doesn't match at all, so it was the wrong choice. You can get it on the bracelet. I don't really like the bracelet on this because I don't like the way it connects to the case. It doesn't look great for me, and I think I know it's a die watch. You shouldn't wear it on a leather strap and so on, blah blah blah. But this is like a retro die watch. I'm not gonna die with this watch. It's a beautiful looking watch, and I think it really suits a leather strap. Just not this one. But it also looks really good on rubber. I've had it on a orange rubber strap, which also looks really good. And on a tropic rubber, it looks amazing. So I think you can fit a lot of different straps on this. Just again, find a different color than this one. But the strap, you have the Christopher Ward logo thing again. It's Italian vintage oak leather. The clasp is pretty simple with the logo and brushed. So all in all, the strap is good. It's just the color that lets it down, especially compared to this watch. But I think Christopher Ward straps are pretty good in general. The bracelet is also really nice. I just don't particularly like it on this watch. I also heard some issues that it didn't fit the case properly, so there was a little gap on the side, but I'm not sure about that. I can try it on my wrist for you, if I can get it on. Here it is on my wrist. It looks huge, like it's not this big, but it is. The strap kind of ruins it because it's so stiff because I haven't worn it, but it sits really nicely on my wrist usually, and I mean it looks really big, but it doesn't wear that big. So the price for this watch is 1,270 euros on a bracelet and 1,150 euros on a leather strap. But what you gotta remember is that Christopher Ward have these discount codes quite often, so I would buy this with a discount code. You can probably get like 10-15% off, and if you do that, I think this watch is amazing for the money. I think the finishing is great for this price point. It's a unique watch in that it has a proper super compressor, which is completely useless but very very cool. I think they really knocked it out the park with the design of this watch, and as far as design goes, it gets a 10 out of 10 from me. Only one thing is the misalignment, but this is fixed on the newer models, although I like this color the most, and all the models in this color have that issue. But as I said, it doesn't bother me as much as I thought it would. I honestly don't really notice it when I don't look really close. So I think this watch is incredible for the money. I think if you like the style, I think go get it, get a discount code and go get it. I'm very happy with it. It's, you know, a unique look. I love the retro look. I love how it sits, you know, despite what it looks like when I tried it on. It sits really nicely on my wrist. It doesn't wear too big. And, you know, I would of course prefer it to be maybe like 39 millimeters. 41 is on the larger side for me, but the lug is quite short because of the case shape. So that was my quick review of the Christopher Ward C65 Super Compressor. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's a great watch, and I definitely recommend it. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you're not done watching me yet, here is another video you can watch. Thank you so much again, and have a nice day. Bye bye.